He turned away. He needed to find the sleeping crew. They would likely be positioned close to the cargo hold, and despite the sound the storm was making, he couldn't take the risk that they might hear him. He'd done this many times before, and it didn't take him long to make his way down into the bowels of the ship and find the sleeping berth. Keeping the shadows close, anyone watching would see only moving darkness. He pulled the door closed and latched it. At the quiet snick of the latch falling into place, he waited, breathing to stay calm. But nobody inside roused. He thought about going back up, locking in the captain and the sailors playing cards. But they were awake. If one of them heard him doing it or tried to leave... But the storm was loud. It was unlikely they'd hear anything happening down in the cargo hold. And if they did, well, merchant sailors weren't soldiers. Decision made, he moved down the narrow passageway leading to the cargo hold. It was there he found his first obstacle. 2 armed falcons standing guard on either side of the hatch. Not that either of them would strike fear into anyone trying to get in. The Shadowhawk couldn't help the sharp smile of amusement that spread over his face at the sight. One was half leaning against the wall, his skin a green hue almost matching the colour of his wings, his left hand clutching his stomach. The other just looked bored. Their immaculate teal uniforms and silken wings contrasted sharply with the rough wood of the ship's interior and the dim light from 2 flickering torches further down the passageway, making them seem horribly out of place. Briefly, he considered sneaking past them in the shadows. He discarded the idea the moment he thought it. The seasick one was practically standing on the hatch, and the lamplight was strong enough to make the shadows surrounding him look unnatural if he stepped into it. A single steadying breath, and he summoned the deep, husky voice of the Shadowhawk. "I've got an arrow drawn and pointed at your heart. One move, and I let loose." He was unarmed apart from the knife at his back, the knife he never used, but they didn't know that. He was utterly hidden by the darkness beyond the pool of lamplight. The 2 falcons jumped, the seasick one adding a shade of yellow to the green tinge of his skin. The other one's hand dropped to the hilt of his sword, but the Shadowhawk barked, "Don't. There's no need for either of you to die tonight. You know who I am. Do as I say and you live. Start walking backwards. Slowly. Arms up." They shared a glance, neither willing to attack with the threat of an arrow coming out of the darkness at them, but still reluctant to leave their post. "My patience is running out." His voice turned edgy, dark. "Start walking, or I loose this arrow. The second will follow before the remaining one of you can get anywhere near me." His glance fell on the face of the seasick falcon, a young man surely no older than 20, and for a moment guilt tried to flicker. He squashed it ruthlessly. After sharing another glance, the 2 falcons began inching backwards up the passageway, hands in the air, their wings making their usually graceful movements awkward and clumsy in the confined space. He moved them back until they reached a hold he'd spotted earlier, on his way from the sleeping berth. "Inside. Not a sound. Shut the door behind you. Go." They hesitated only a moment longer, the seasick one swaying, clutching his stomach harder. The second one opened the door and shoved his comrade in, before following suit. Once the door swung shut, the Shadowhawk moved quickly, dropping the bar over the doorway. The sharp scent of penned sheep had hit him earlier as he passed the doorway. The hold where livestock were kept would be one that could be barred from the outside, holding back any panicked animal herd trying to flee. A perfect place to trap someone. Besides, there was no small satisfaction in sticking the pretty winged falcons in with stinking sheep. Mouth curling in contempt at their uselessness, the Shadowhawk returned to the hatch leading to the cargo hold, listening hard through the rain drumming on the deck above. Nothing else loomed out of the darkness, so he opened the hatch and dropped through before pulling it closed and securing it from the inside. It should prove a good enough...